Hi, Teresa here from Parenting for Social Change. Thanks for joining me in the video today. I just recently posted an article on embracing discomfort, and I want to talk a little bit more about what that means and the process for doing that, because so often in our culture what we learn is to avoid things that are uncomfortable. It's kind of natural, I guess. I don't know if it's natural or if it's learned, but we avoid discomfort. We don't want to be physically uncomfortable. We don't want to feel uncomfortable emotions. We kind of believe that we should be happy and feel joyful most of the time. And yet those uncomfortable emotions, especially as parents who are trying to parent from a place of trust and respect, can really play an important role in our learning and in our healing and growth as parents. And so as we parent for social change, as we try to change these dominant paradigms where children are controlled, where they're disrespected, a critical part of that is to be able to challenge the norms that we grew up with. And some of those norms really are around our emotions and what we feel and the judgments that we put on those emotions. So as a child, you may have experienced, being punished in some way. Maybe it wasn't physical punishment. Maybe it was just being told to go to your room if you were crying too much. You might have been a really expressive child who, when you were joyful, you were loud according to your parents and you were told to quiet down. There may be many ways in which the natural emotions that came out of you were judged as negative by the adults around you. And we internalize that judgment. And we begin to judge those emotions ourselves. This is a common theme I've talked about in other videos as well. And so one of the things that we do is instead of embracing that discomfort, what we learn as children is to push away or push down those emotions and the discomfort that we're feeling. We either will turn away from it, sort of this flight mechanism, away from those uncomfortable emotions, from the discomfort, or we might go into fight mode where we go to battle, so to speak, with those emotions internally within ourselves. And honestly, neither one of those things works very well. Avoidance or fighting them and trying to control those emotions really doesn't do very much for us. Those emotions continue to come back, and the things that we experienced in our childhoods don't go away. And they continue then to show up in our relationships with the children in our lives. So part of our responsibility and the work that we do as parents who are trying to change these paradigms, change the way in which children are treated, is to undo those things within ourselves, to go deeper and do that internal work. So we have to do exactly the opposite of what we were taught to do. We were taught to turn away from that discomfort or to fight that discomfort. Instead, we need to move toward the discomfort. We need to embrace that discomfort and those uncomfortable emotions. And the more that we move toward them, the more that we come to a place of accepting them just the way they are, without trying to change anything. Feeling angry, we feel angry. We can accept those things. We can tell ourselves internally, I'm feeling really angry. I feel like I shouldn't feel angry. I'm really struggling with the fact that I'm feeling angry about this. There are lots of ways that we can internally have that dialogue with ourselves to create acceptance for the place that we're at in that moment. And the more that we create acceptance, the more quickly we move through those emotions, the more that we are then able to maybe understand why it is the child in our life, when he or she is crying or angry, triggers these really strong responses in us. The more that we move toward those uncomfortable emotions in ourselves, the more that we're able to learn from them, the more then that we're in turn able to be present with the children in our lives in that same way. That's the key. The work starts with us internally, and then it moves outward, and it's reflected in our relationships with children. Thanks for joining me today at Parenting for Social Change, and thank you for your commitment to transforming childhood and parenting and transforming the world.